All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
What up, everybody? Good morning. It is our big Wednesday show, the 28th day of December. We're just like winding down this year. And good morning, everybody. Vilma, Matthew, Joanne, Mike Garcia in Oklahoma. What up in Oklahoma?
Morning.
Morning, Joanne Barnett. Karen in Hawaii. Good morning.
Morning.
Tom, what up? What up? What up, kid?
Morning.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we've got our cast of regulars. I'm talking about the great
Albert. Thank you.
Yeah, the great Albert. And Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Hey.
All right. And Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
The master of all things technical. Tony's he's figure out a way to fix my replay machine. And he explained it to me in like, I'm going to say about 35 seconds in, I kind of thought, I have no idea what he's talking about right now. He goes, you can do this yourself. You just put this, you're going to put this one thing in. I'm going to send it to the house. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Anyway. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Tony, what angered you?
Well, Tony, what angered you?
Yeah. It is, we're approaching the new year, and I have a fun thing today in addition to some serious stuff we'll get to. The fun thing is, and it's a game we all can play, it's we're going to go by state. And we won't do all the states in the great United States of America, but we'll do a bunch of states. And we will try to guess, and there's no fair Googling this. I almost don't want to tell you, because I know there's some of you that cannot be trusted not to Google. Yeah.
Google it.
No, do not Google it, please. So look, we're on the honor system. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. You know what? I don't trust you at all. I'm not going to tell. We're doing something with New Year and the states, but I don't trust you not to Google. So I will not be telling you anything more until the actual segment when we'll all play together. It is fun. You will like it. But if you Google it, you have an unfair advantage over the rest of us. So I'm going to leave it alone. John Rothmann joins us at the bottom of the hour. He is the sage when it comes to so many things from politics, both in California and national politics. John will talk about some revelations that are coming out of the J6 committee. There are additional revelations in addition to the pile of revelations that were shared publicly through the hearings. And one of those revelations is the destruction of documents on the part of Mark Meadows. So, Trump's closest advisors and legal counsels were involved in an active cover-up. An obstruction of justice, if you will. I know it doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem like something.
What?
Yeah, I'm just saying. It happened. So John will weigh in on that and on more. So that'll be bottom of the hour. Now, I want to welcome someone who, I also wanted to mention I've got a map. There's some revelations. Some revelations might be, I could use the word, but I would say some fascinating information associated with a map that's just come out in the city. Okay, if you're in San Francisco, because San Francisco has this reputation now with, the smash and grabs and the crimes, and that's real. But I have my San Francisco mug that I am drinking from. You can see they have a smash and grab here on the mug right over. This is happening right here by you can see Chrissy Field just beyond that. Yeah. Anyway, the
cell phone swipe down below.
Exactly right, and it's all right there in the mug. But
a converter there on the top right.
That's a catalytic converter. There's a ring. There's an East Bay ring that's going down there. It's a crime ring. Yeah.
That actually that would be a great coffee cup, right? Don't you think? That'd be a hot seller.
It would. It probably would be. It's something we should work on, some design. You're right. Yeah. The San Francisco Bay Area Crime Cup.
Yes.
I like it.
We'd have to tie it into the crime segment we do on the show.
Yeah, Law and Disorder.
Right.
Yeah, we do a Law and Disorder mug.
Crime cup. Yes.
Now, John Rothmann will not be on until 10:30. So, John, if you're hanging out in the green room, our green room is beautiful because it is your house. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, hang out. We're going to talk to Spencer Christian, and then the big John Rothmann introduction and segment starts at 10:30. So, and now, as I mentioned, I kind of tipped my hand. The guy who I've known for so long, he has had an amazing career. To be perfectly honest, he's had a much more amazing career than have I. And so it's a little awkward sometimes when I bring him on because I'm looking into staring right into the eyes of great success.
Yeah.
But still, my love for him eclipses whatever resentment and jealousy might otherwise rule the day. He's Spencer Christian, everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Kim. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Yeah. What up, kid? What up?
Actually, I stole your career, so I'm enjoying it. You should have had.
You were the original career smash and grabber, as it turns out. You didn't even realize it.
San Francisco Crime Cup. Does the cup size increase as the crime rate goes up?
I like that. I like that. Now we're writing. I like this. We're building. This is good. We should take a meeting on the crime cup. Spencer just got back from his family. I think Spencer was visiting. You have grandchildren? What's the story, Spencer? Yeah.
My daughter and her family live in the greater Boston area, and I have two grandsons, 7 and 5, and I've spent 5 days of Christmas with them, and it just got back yesterday.
That's pretty terrific. But so I will first ask you about the airports and the flight. Did you have to? Was it really like just crazy to wade through the madness at the airport?
It was pretty crazy at the airport. Flying out of Boston Logan, coming back here, it was jam packed, and yet I was flying JetBlue. I'm not doing a commercial here, but we boarded quickly and took off like 5 minutes ahead of schedule and got into SFO about a half hour ahead of schedule. Even with the storm, we had to contend with coming in.
That's real, and that it does surprise me. Yeah,
I have to do something really goofy. There's a workman at my door. Can I let him in?
Yeah, go. No, of course. Yeah, this is good.
Come on in, workman. We welcome all.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course, Spencer Christian experiences no problems. They do know that he's Spencer Christian going through the airport.
His bad.
Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're absolutely right. Just because of his life. Yeah, it doesn't surprise. Yeah, I don't. Albert was just saying. Of course, Spencer Christian suffers no setbacks at the airport, even while everybody else is getting. But Spencer just glides on through. Yeah,
the lines part, and everyone's like, "That's Spencer Christian."
I live a charmed life, you know.
It's pretty damn good. You know, it's funny. I'm just looking in the so you have so much love that you get in our text chat. You can check it out later, but you can.
Why don't you just text it?
Yeah, text it right into the live chat. And you can say, hey, to Spencer Christian, you might have questions for him or whatever. What's your vacation schedule? Are you off to the end of the end of the year? Or what does it work? How does it work?
Yeah, I was supposed to be off till the end of the year and go back to work on New Year's Eve, actually, not New Year's Day, because I was going to fill in for someone. But I got called in today because Sandia Patel is sick. She's lost her voice. And she's supposed to be doing the 4, 5, 6, and 11 o'clock weather today. But in her stead, I will be there.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Well, I know that weather's a big deal, and this atmospheric river, Pineapple Express, Pineapple Connection, whatever you want to call it, is something that is relevant. Do you have a rough idea of? It seems like this is sort of a pause from the super wet weather today. Anyway, is the rest of the week supposed to be wet again, or how does it work?
It is. Yeah, you're right. Today is a pause. I mean that. Plume of moisture, which we call the atmospheric river, is still flowing in our direction.
Plume is a ding word. Yes, go ahead.
That's a ding word.
Yeah, very good. Strong.
Ding word.
Strong ding word. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, come on in, John.
John, come on, John.
Right ahead.
Do what you got to do, John.
So, we we have another little system coming in overnight tonight, and tomorrow. It'll be sort of an average rainmaker. It's going to be a light storm, but it'll give us another 1/4 of an inch to almost an inch in some spots between tomorrow morning and Friday morning. Then we have another system coming in Friday and Saturday that will start off as a more vigorous storm, but will then weaken a little bit on Saturday. And then we have another one coming in on Monday. So we have 3 separate systems coming our way in close proximity. Oh, is that a ding word too?
Proximity? I'll tell you, proximity would not be. I'll tell you what would be, just so for the future. Proximitous. If you'd say proximitous to this, that would be a ding word, but proximity is not. The idea that you get storms regularly and that builds a snowpack, that's critical for our water supply, right?
Correct. Yeah. True. So true. And critical for for our trying to put a little dent in the drought. Now, obviously, a week's worth of storms, even if they are significant, are beneficial, but they don't really put a significant dent in the drought. But yes, the snowpack is so critical, and there's going to be a lot of that, or at least it's building so far early in the season.
You know, Spencer's had a rich career, as I mentioned. He was on the #1 newscast in New York, Eyewitness News in New York, with legendary people. For those who grew up on the East Coast, as I did, I didn't live in New York, but I used to visit New York a lot. I'd watch all the New York newscast. I was a media person, kind of a media junkie anyway, so I watched Spencer with great interest. And he was weather and also sports for a while, as I recall. And the other thing that was cool, here's a really cool thing I just thought of. When they used to introduce the beginning of the newscast, now it's all recorded. It's Channel 7 News with Dan Ashley and Spencer Christian Weather, whatever. But in the old days, they used to literally have a live announcer, I think, because I know this because they would change it like from night to night.
That's right.
There was a live guy in a booth, or what? He would record it daily, or what would happen?
Yeah. When I first got there, he was live in the booth. Now, I think they eventually had him recorded early, and they would select the one that matched the newscast that was coming up. But this guy had one of those, deep voices, John B. Brassballs here, and it was great, And
you had to turn in your chair.
Eyewitness News, Roger Grimsby, Told You Tell, Spencer Christian with weather. And Warner Wolf with sports.
That's right. It was really cool. And then, so as you moved around, he would move it around, and as different people filled in or whatever, they would change that. I just remember that. That's how old school it was. Yeah. It's just interesting to see. I mean, in your life and my life, how the business of local news is just so different. And honestly, I feel as though you were there at the golden age of it. I mean, that was when, you were all just making sick money. The stations were making sick money. People were paying attention to what you said, what your window on your community was really seen through Channel 7 News in New York, or whatever the station was, local news. It's before the stink of the media. There was sort of this, before the evil media really had any kind of bad rep sort of developed. Now there's this sort of question of nobody trusts anybody about anything, and maybe there's anyway. So I feel like you were there at the golden age.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Mark. I mean, I caught the wave once again. A really lucky guy. So I arrived in New York in the mid to late '70s on the most watched newscast in the market, maybe in the country. With the most celebrated local anchor team in the country, and everybody watched the news in those days because local news was appointment TV, which we don't have anymore because there's so many platforms and so much stuff is streaming. And as you pointed out, I also lucked into that era in which the most watched people on TV made big bucks, and that went from my local career in New York to my network career on Good Morning America. So I was a very fortunate guy. I caught the wave for sure.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, and the relationships you made through that time. You became pals with Jimmy Carter, Muhammad Ali. I mean, those are the ones that come to mind. But I mean, did you go to Broadway theater and stuff like that in New York? Did you take advantage of all the magic that is New York?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I wasn't a regular theater goer, but I loved it. So I went to some of the the bigger shows like Phantom and all those,
Yeah, right. Of course. Yeah. And more than the going to them, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was going to say they're really like banging on your door to say, please, come to the premiere of whatever, because they want you. You're a luminary. Luminaries are being word. Yeah.
A luminary. There you go. I think about the times I would appear at a public event, and there'd be some famous actors around like Roy Scheider or someone like that at the height of their popularity, and there'd be more attention paid to me than to these accomplished actors and performers.
It's just great. It really is great.
Ali used to laugh at that, when I would see him, and he would say, "I'm the pretty one, but they're all looking at you."
That's just terrific. And I asked you this before, and I'm sorry to obsess about this, but this is like when I remember Spencer on New York television. But you lived in Manhattan, or did you live over in New Jersey, maybe? Is that what you said?
Yeah, over in New Jersey, in Bergen County, which was the closest bedroom community, just right across the George Washington Bridge to Manhattan. Right. So it was New Jersey's version of Westchester County, but it was a quick commute, great place to raise my kids. They were able to go to really good schools, and I could feel like we had a safe neighborhood and all that.
And you then were, when did the gambling start? When was like the first thing where because you wrote a whole book about the gambling addiction? Yeah. What was the the moment of the genesis of all of that?
Yeah. And that's not a ding word, is it? Genesis?
Genesis is not a ding word. Sorry.
Okay. In the late 70s, right after I had begun to establish myself at Eyewitness News at WABC, a bunch of us, I was the only on-air guy, but a bunch of us on the team started a Friday night poker game after the 11 o'clock news. And that's when I began to get hooked on this, excitement of raking in the chips and wanting to win. But it wasn't until casinos opened in Atlantic City in 1978 that I really got hooked, because once I walked into the casino and was in this electric atmosphere, with bells and whistles going off and lights flashing, and I happened to have beginner's luck, and I won a few bucks the first time I played blackjack and craps. That's when I really got hooked and immediately wanted to step up to the higher betting level, started getting the VIP high roller treatment, and the rest was kind of a sad history.
Well, no, and it's a compelling history, though. But it's true. You add national celebrity and high roller, and you get the best of everything, and that's intoxicating. So, yeah, I get why it happened, and you document it so well in your book, and we've talked about it before. But I just think it's worth revisiting because people who haven't been there don't realize how easy it is to get sucked in. I told you, Spencer, the story. Kim, have I mentioned this to you too? And everybody watching, of course, the story of being given, this has just happened a few years ago. I was given a cruise. I get, because of my gambling, this is one of the reasons I like to talk to Spencer about gambling, because I kind of understand it. Yeah. You lose so much money, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. But, Spencer says you win a little bit, like maybe you'll win at the beginning or whatever, and then you'll lose. Then you win a little bit, and you lose. Yeah. So but that little bit, that intermittent reinforcement, they talk about it in psychology, is the most powerful kind of reinforcement. It's the reason, by the way, that if you're at the subway, people look down the ramp. Most of the time when you look down the ramp, down the tunnel, there's no train coming, right? But then one time you look down the ramp, the train is coming. That's intermittent reinforcement. That is the most powerful kind. It's a weird thing. You'd think if every time you look down the ramp, there was a train coming, that would be more powerful. No, it's the intermittent. So the fact that you don't win every time actually is a more compelling way that it hooks you in. So anyway,
it would make sense. It would make sense because that you would think the feeling of losing, that kind of pit in your stomach where you're like, that losing feeling, that would be the most powerful feeling. But it's so interesting that feeling can be overcome by what you're talking about, Mark.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and Spencer talks about this in his book, and we can all relate to it who have been there. I mean, the lowest lows are really low. I mean, it's brutal. You hate yourself. You know what you're doing, and you hate yourself. It's like any addiction. You can't let go of it.
That was a particularly strange feeling for me to experience, because it was the first time in my life I ever, had that feeling of self-loathing, of hating myself, was during those low, bottomless pit points in gambling, when I was filled with shame and guilt and fear, really, like, how am I going to get out of this financial mess without the world discovering that I'm a degenerate, without everybody, changing their view of me and thinking I'm not such a good guy, a smart guy after all. When you
ultimately told your story, people were anxious to hear it. Actually,
they were. Yeah. I mean, I've had so many people tell me, "Man, I read your book," and it was like Ron Owen said to me, "I thought I was reading my own life story in terms of the gambling part."
Yeah.
And I had people, Mark, who just knew me from TV and never met me, but found a way to write to me and say, not only that the book helped them, but they wanted to know if they could have some ongoing communication with me so that I could provide them some encouragement. You know how good that makes you feel? I mean, like you've done something really worthwhile, something really useful and helpful to people who are facing what seems like, insurmountable odds.
Yeah.
And then they wrote, P.S. Do you have $3,500 you could wire me?
Right. That too, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I can only imagine. I mean, because you are playing for such big money. But yeah, we took a cruise that was given to us because of all my degeneracy gambling. And I keep it. I have a budget, and I'm pretty good at keeping to within the gambling. So I never really got into the addiction, but I understand. I really understand it because I love the action also. And it was just, you made me think of it when it was just like you were talking about. Courtney was with me. It was our first trip together. We took the cruise to Alaska. Now, we're not cruisers per se. I didn't really want to go, but I thought I'd heard that Alaska, it's a very good way to see it by boat. So we get on the boat, we go into the casino, and of course, we start winning. I mean, a lot. And she thinks, she's never seen this before, like this is the way it is all the time. And she's ordering, hot tea to be delivered to the table. It's a version of what Spencer's talking about, that you're just feted, you are just celebrated. And because it was a family cruise and I'm coming in betting all this money, I was like James Bond to them. They said, do you want us to set up a private room for you? It was hilarious. You would have loved it. In Vegas, you'd just be another, guy from the street, but there I was like the big deal. So, but since then we've been subsequently on those things that are given to you, because and I've just lost. They've more than gotten their money back. It's just crazy how they suck you in though. It's a wild world, and Spencer documents it so well. So, I mean, the other thing in your history that I just love, and I was fascinated to read because you do seem to have had this charmed existence, and it's never as good as it looks from the outside. I'm sure that there are challenges and adversity, but adversity would be a ding word. But I think that the idea that you grew up in the Jim Crow South, that to me is just that's a powerful part of your story, Yeah.
Well, Mark, I attribute my positive, joyful, aspirational approach to life to my parents, who were remarkable people who grew up in an even earlier, uglier, nastier period of Jim Crow than I did.
Did they speak of that to you as kids?
Yeah, they did, but they spoke of it in a way to educate my brother and me about what we could expect, how we could expect the world to treat us, but not in a way that frightened us or filled us with anger or bitterness, because we were a family of faith. So there was always the faith to but they were continually, my parents were continually pointing to strides forward being made in the civil rights movement.
Oh, that's
every
cool.
time Martin Luther King would appear somewhere or a new piece of legislation was being voted on, they would say, see, things are improving. Every time there was a federal court decision that that knocked down segregation somewhere. So, and then of course I was maybe I was fortunate that the schools I went to were segregated until I finally graduated, because I didn't. It was an all-black school, and we were just all competing against each other. There was no one there calling you nasty names.
Sure.
There were people teachers warmly welcoming you like your parents would. They were sort of like surrogate parents, encouraging.
And were all the teachers black also?
All the teachers were black. Now the superintendent of the county schools was white, and it was his job to make sure that the black kids and the black teachers stayed at one school, and the white kids and the white teachers stayed at another school. But
you're saying as a kid you didn't notice it. As a kid, it was just like the way it was.
That's the way it was. It wasn't. I noticed it when weekends came and my family would drive from our little rural town where we lived to Richmond, to the city, to shop. And as we went into clothing stores, for example, blacks were not allowed to try on clothing. You had to buy what you hoped was your size and would fit you when you got home. Anything that touched your skin, you were going to pay for and take it out of the store. So
I remember you writing about that in your book, and it just was it's shocking. It's just a reminder.
The dirty rundown restrooms that weren't well maintained were the ones that colored, and the shiny ones that the stores took care of were whites only. The water fountains, the lunch counters, and that's how it was till I was almost 20 years old. That was, it's a huge chapter of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say, too, that you, through the 60s, saw the civil rights movement flourishing, through the horror. I mean, it was an absolutely horrifying system that you're describing. And your parents lived, as you've suggested, through an even more horrifying system.
They did.
It had to be a period of great hope. As you say, there was a lot to hang your hope on as all of these strides were made. I kind of feel like we plateaued. I get frustrated. I feel as though the race is unfortunately going to always, on some level, be this undercurrent of so much of this culture, and sadly, that's just a fact.
It is. It is, and it's getting worse now than I have seen it in my adult
Exactly.
years.
Exactly.
There's so many cynical, heartless politicians who get elected to the Senate and governorships are playing on that. It used to be kind of subtle. They used to have the buzzwords, the dog whistles. Forget dog whistles. They're using foghorns right now. They're just playing straight to the bigots and the anti-Semites and the misogynists. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's I feel like misogynist would be a ding word. So you're that. You get it at the end. Well, Spencer, I love this about you, that you can talk serious, you can talk weather, you can talk light, we can talk gambling. You're just magnificent, my friend, and I so enjoy you, and you're such a great friend of the show. And we didn't even get to, this YouTube audience has never heard the story about you stealing my job at Good Morning America.
Well, you'll have to have me back on again.
For the next time, right, for the next time. So
Before we let Spencer go, can I just ask, because SF Gate had it a level 4 storm, the one yesterday, and ABC 7 had it a level 3.
Right.
Oh.
Now, I wonder, was there a battle?
And what do you think it was? Who was right, Spencer?
Yeah. Well, now, as you may recall, I was flying back in yesterday, so I wasn't here for the brunt
drama
of the storm, but I felt the bumps descending at SFO. From what I've seen in terms of rainfall totals, maximum wind gusts, the damage that was done, etc. From what I've seen of the impacts of the storm, let's put it that way, I would say that on the storm impact scale, which is what it's all about, it was a 3. A 4 would have left more damage behind, more power outages, more property damage, and more severe flooding, I think.
They got it right in your absence. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, the one thing that we learned, we got to wrap up, but the one thing that we learned in our last conversation with Spencer Christian was they really debate and they go back and forth on the level that they say the next storm coming in will be. And sometimes they'll change it. Oftentimes they'll change it if they feel that the latest data dictates that. The one thing, so I think that's great, actually. Storm severity scale, I think, is actually a great little invention that you guys had. I also, though, think that, and this isn't you, I don't know who is doing the naming of a winter storm. Like, this is Winter Storm Elliott. I saw it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It really is.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, we know who names hurricanes and tropical systems. That's the National Hurricane Center. I don't know who started. The first time I heard of a winter storm being named was Sandy, right? Was that Sandy back there?
Oh, right. But Sandy was a tropical weather system, I think, also. So that might be legitimately the high ground for that. But here is what I think it's the Weather Channel or AccuWeather or one of them that does it. But it's lame. It's totally lame. You could say the Christmas storm, the Christmas Eve storm of 2022. That's what I lived in Buffalo. We used to talk about the storm of 77, the blizzard of 77. Right. You say the blizzard of 22, the blizzard of Christmas 22. You don't need Winter Storm Elliott. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry, but
why are you yelling?
I just think it's yeah.
I totally agree. I say that all the time. It's just silly.
Yeah. Smash the like button for Spencer Christian.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash it with your iron rod hard and give it a big thumbs up for Spencer Christian.
That kind of show, huh?
Oh, my God, you people. You can't say anything around here. Thanks, Spencer. Have a great holiday. The rest of it, Happy New Year, my friend.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Albert, I would like to call an audible here if I could. I'd like to.
I think we're on the same page.
Okay, so we're gonna go. We're gonna save the magic of Kim's news for the 11 o'clock hour.
So that's what we're down to here on the Mark Thompson Show, huh?
Kim, how are you?
And then what we'll do is...
Kim, how are you?
All right, so we'll do Kim at 11 in her news.
Kim, how are
you?
you?
Can even do a built-out newscast if you'd like to fold in some of your 10:30 stories to 11 o'clock. That'll be okay.
Kim, how are you?
All right. And then what I'd like to do now is bring on someone who is, he is our rabbi. He is someone with great perspectives on life and politics and religion and culture and the Bay Area and California. It's true. He's one of our favorites. How about it for John Rothmann, everybody? Yeah. Hey, John Rothmann. Happy New Year.
Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
We got to unmute John Rothmann.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I unmuted now?
There you go.
Yep.
Now you're gloriously unmuted.
The last thing you want as a radio talk show host is to be muted, I'll assure you. But following Spencer Christian is always a tremendous joy. And Kim, I will be listening avidly to your extended...
I'm sure that you will. Yes.
Everything Rothmann says sounds so. And Kim, I will be listening avidly to your newscast at 11. You sound like...
avidly is a ding word, I think.
Borderline. I'll ding it if you want. All right. I don't know. But John, it's great to have you in the mix always. We're really exploiting you because the crowd loves you, and it's terrific to have you in. But now I'll exploit you for some knowledge. The things that are coming out, I'd love to talk about anything in California, first of all, or I'd like to put it aside for now, but I'd like to get to that. Anything that you feel we should focus on. There may be stuff that you feel is sort of getting lost in the wash a little bit in terms of California politics or California concerns. But I wanted to get to some of the J6 revelations that have come out, even as they've wrapped up their report and even as Congress changes hands. I wonder if you could tell me what things, the Meadows revelation, I think, is pretty significant, that he was burning documents at a pretty good clip, particularly after, it would appear in an effort to cover up what was a conspiracy. And this is a clear obstruction of justice. So that's one thing that landed in the last day or so. What other things, and tell me about that as it lands for you?
Well, begin with Mark Meadows. If, in fact, he did burn documents in the White House, in the Chief of Staff's office, it is a monumental abuse of power, an obstruction of justice. And Meadows, who I would remind you is a conservative, he was a member of the House of Representatives, one of the founders of the Freedom Caucus. If he did that, then I believe we have a real problem with the conservatives. Mark Meadows is emblematic of a huge problem in the conservative movement today. And that is, can you respect honesty and integrity? What does it mean for Donald Trump? I think Donald Trump is on the decline. The reason he's on the decline is his own situation, the way he handles things, the way he treats people. And we are seeing that. I thought that the revelations were particularly significant, and now we have to see what the follow-up is. Remember that next week, the Republicans take over the House of Representatives. The January 6th committee has folded. It means that everything is now with the Justice Department. And I've been a great defender of Merrick Garland. You will recall over the last several years, a lot of my listeners, your listeners, and callers have suggested that Merrick Garland was a failure. He was going too slowly. And the reality is what he's done is to build a solid, substantial case. And the question is how the Justice Department will carry it forward. And Mark Meadows, I would remind you, is really in contempt of the January 6th committee. And now we know that when I think about burning documents, I always remember when Richard Nixon was advised to take all the tapes and burn them on the White House lawn.
Yeah, Pat Buchanan told him to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so did Spiro Agnew.
Yeah, right.
All I can tell you is it's if that's not a ding word, I don't know what is. But I'm going to tell you that it is shocking. And what is more disturbing to me is I alternate what I listen to in terms of news. Fox has made this a non-story. And that is what is particularly disturbing. You cannot have major implications of a White House chief of staff burning documents in his office in the White House and not have it covered. CNN, I think, has done a good job. MSNBC has done a good job. But it is the partisanship of Fox, which I find particularly disturbing. May I give you one other example that really irritated me the other day? They were talking about the scandals involved in the cover-up by a congressman-elect who has claimed, so many things that aren't true. It's unbelievable.
Santos, yeah.
Just unbelievable. And one of the commentators on CNN tried to divert it and say, well, Joe Biden did the same thing.
No.
And I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with these people? Do they have to create that delusion and illusion of quid pro quo? So that was the other thing. Santos, by the way, is a disgrace, but there is no requirement in being elected to the House of Representatives that you be honest or have any sense of integrity. And so
that's exactly right.
And
I mean, yeah.
Let me point out quickly. I don't want to. You've got questions, I know, but
no. I just want to follow up, but in a second. Go ahead.
That the reason that the Republican leadership is so quiet about this is because, as you know, next week the Republicans will assemble to elect a new leader who will inevitably become Speaker. But the problem is that there are 5 members of the Freedom Caucus who are saying they will not vote for Kevin McCarthy. And if he loses Santos, this disreputable fellow, he's really in trouble. So this is expediency over honesty and integrity, and is emblematic, I think, of part of the problem. Let me point out, to be fair.
Well, expediency is a ding word, and emblematic, which you've used twice. I will ding twice.
Thank you.
Okay,
the
go ahead.
Democrats
Yes.
have the squad, and I've been equally vocal about their lunacy. But let me say that when it comes to the Republicans, they have their group as well, the Freedom Caucus. And let me remind you that the former White House Chief of Staff found burning documents, we are told, was a member of that Freedom Caucus and one of its leaders. So,
I do want to just put, for those who may have missed it, this is the testimony, okay, that was released by the J6 committee that we didn't see. Okay, but you in the original iterations, which would be a ding word, of the committee's work, roughly a dozen times. This is a quote from Cassidy Hutchinson. Roughly a dozen times I remember seeing him, Mark Meadows, and it was when we would have the General Service Administration staff come light it first thing in the morning. He's talking about the fire. And then they had logs next to his fireplace and his closet, too. Throughout the day, he would put more logs on the fireplace to keep it burning throughout the day. And I recall roughly a dozen times where he would take the fireplace cover off and then throw a few more pieces of paper in when he put more logs on the fireplace.
That's wild.
Yeah, she describes in detail. And she then says, she points out, I mean, this young woman who's really sacrificed a lot, and she's at both personal expense, meaning literally she's had to pay for representation, and also at personal expense in terms of reputation and the way they play like mobsters on the right, unfortunately. They'll dox you. They will come to your house. They will, you've seen how brutal it can be. It's standing protocol, this is Hutchinson speaking, it's standing protocol, I believe, for previous and future administrations, too, for record-keeping purposes. The Presidential Records Act only asks that you keep the original copy of a document. However, I don't know if the documents Meadows burned were the first or the original copies of anything. It's entirely possible that he had put things in his fireplace that he also would have put into a burn bag. They were duplicates, maybe, of an electronic copy. Is there high ground, I guess is what I'm asking you, John Rothman, for Meadows? Might he be able to skate on this? In other words, after everything you've just said, all of which I could sign on to, I think, for the most part, what is the real effect? You've already said that he's in contempt. Nothing's going to happen as a result of that. What might happen realistically as a result of these revelations?
Well, there could be something that happens. If the Justice Department brings obstruction of justice charges to a grand jury, he is really in trouble. But I want to say a word about Cassidy Hutchinson. I am so impressed by her. Now, I've never met her. I don't know her. I have read what you have read. She really, she hit a home run in terms of revelations, honesty, and integrity. And let me remind you, she was, if you will, at the bosom of what was going on January 6th. And she has been completely honest and candid, in my judgment, has not been caught in any lies or disingenuous statements, and was trusted by the Republican leadership. And that should be the real clue. The question becomes, why is there such silence by the Republicans? Can't they confront and admit that something nefarious has happened? And that, in fact, a former president of the United States is obstructing justice, tried to subvert the election process. And yes, I will be very clear. He committed sedition. And that is, I think, in the end, what is important. May I make one other quick comment before we go to other issues? And that is, watch what is happening in Georgia. I believe that there will be an indictment of Donald Trump by the Attorney General's office in Georgia. It's a state matter, because clearly they have him on tape suggesting that the Secretary of State cheat. And the Secretary of State, who I had on my show, and I think you've had him on your show, has made very clear that he is telling the truth, and he is a Republican. He is a committed Republican. And so these are. I
just want to find 11,000.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, he's a Trump. Trump's an old school mobster. Kind of like steps around some of the verbiage that would really get him into trouble. But on this one, I think the record is replete with evidence of issues. I think Lindsey Graham is involved in this as well.
Yeah, well, he has been now compelled, although he tried to appeal the matter, he has been compelled to testify, and that will be interesting too. That's why I'm spotting several things. The Georgia case is critical. What the Justice Department is doing is critical. And I have to tell you, the revelations coming from the January 6th committee are trickling out, because there is massive testimony. And as this proceeds, it's really going to be something. The sad thing is that the January 6th committee is finished. And Kevin McCarthy has made clear that he is going to punish people, including Adam Schiff, a Democrat who served on the January 6th committee. They're going to strip them of committee assignments. They're going to do a tit for tat. And
sure.
One of the things that I will be watching this next week is the question of whether Kevin McCarthy can or will become Speaker of the House. Will he become the leader of the Republicans and ipso facto become the Speaker? And let me tell you what a disgrace that would be. The man is without any ethics or morals, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, who would you pick from the right who wouldn't consider a disgrace? I mean, he's running in a weak field, I guess is what I would say.
Well, he is going to be challenged, and you will note the challenge to McCarthy is not coming from the center of the Republican Party. It's coming from the right of the Republican Party. And that, to me, is also very disturbing if there is no middle of the Republican Party.
I guess that's what I'm saying. And it's just, I just don't know. It's a rogues gallery. This is the word from the chat that I thought was interesting. Indirect. The coup d'etat will take place and be finished January 3rd. Anything related to January 6th will never be heard of again. Benghazi will be the name of the game. That's just a reflection of what you're talking about, which is that there'll be political recriminations and essentially a new agenda, which will be to go after political rivals. That's literally going to be the order of business.
The difference, Mark, is that although the investigation by Congress may be over, the Justice Department investigation is just beginning. And everybody needs to understand Merrick Garland is a man of tremendous integrity. He is a man who has proven himself to be even-handed in terms of his approach. And whatever attacks they may try to make against him, the facts, I believe, will speak for themselves. And so I believe in the next few weeks and months, we are going to see everything really come out. And one other quick comment, that affects the Republican field in the race for the presidency of the United States. I think Donald Trump's candidacy is already a failed candidacy. Key supporters of Trump are withdrawing their support. And although he could theoretically take a third of the Republican primary vote, he might even do well in certain cases. The question then becomes the opposition. Who will be the emerging opposition? DeSantis, by the way, is a very weak, in my judgment, potential nominee.
And why do you say that?
His record in Florida, his dealing with matters from COVID to teachers to Disney. I mean, one thing after another. We could go into it, frankly, hour after hour. His record.
I'd love to discuss that with you. I mean, I hate him. I think he's a very dangerous guy. I think he's
I never hate.
Well, I do. That's all I do, John. That's all all the hating you don't do, I do, John. Yeah, I take the hating you don't. I go by your house, I pick up your hate, and I bring it to my house. How's that? How dare you not hate?
Why are you yelling?
I hate to think of the implication. Is what I
but I loathe him. I think he's a very dangerous guy. But this is interesting that you don't see him as a strong candidate, since he's viewed as the next viable candidate, might be the way to put it, because if Trump falls
candidate.
away. Vile and viable.
Kim deserves a ding for that.
Yeah.
Maybe
yes.
people
All right.
want to move their hate and place it over on DeSantis. You see, if Trump is not a viable candidate, as you say, and there's still all this anger and vitriol and kind of ugliness floating around, then maybe he's the next successful part in that.
He has a problem, and the problem is that Donald Trump is attacking him, which means that the Trump base is now going to view DeSantis with some cynicism. If I were looking at people, I would look at Asa Hutchinson, who I think is going to run. I would look at Chris Sununu, who I think is going to run. I think there are a lot of possibilities, none of which are acceptable to me in terms of my own politics. Let me quickly point out to you, there is no requirement, by the way, that the Speaker of the House of Representatives be a member of the House of Representatives. And so there was a suggestion made the other day that if all the Democrats got together with a few Republicans, maybe Liz Cheney could become Speaker of the House. It's not going to happen. We've never had a situation where a non-member of Congress has been elected Speaker. But the other
Plus,
thing,
she's loathed by a lot of the constituencies to which you've referred in this conversation. I mean,
absolutely.
she doesn't have if the Republicans got together, the one thing they got together on is that they hate Liz Cheney. You know what I mean? So it would be a bridge too far.
She still sets a Republican agenda. You know?
Of course. So, no, I'm not a fan of Liz Cheney either. There's this sort of the enemy of my enemy is my friend that went on for a long time that somehow Kinzinger and Cheney are our pals when they're perfectly happy with these Supreme Court appointments, for example. I mean, this is the right-wing agenda is embraced by those Republicans on that J6 committee. Just because they went after Trump and seem to have some sort of sense of where magnetic north is doesn't make them cool politically as far as we're concerned.
May I suggest one other thing to watch is the tension between Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy. And I want to see how that plays out, because there has to be coordination between the Republicans in the House and Senate in order to get any legislation passed. The Supreme Court decision, which we just found out about yesterday, which was again a one vote, but Neil Gorsuch switched over and voted with the Democrats on that. And that has to do with the question of whether or not various restrictions imposed during the Trump years can be lifted. It's going to be an interesting time.
Oh, that's for sure.
Can we roll back to the destruction of White House documents for a moment?
Yes.
Because I'm left thinking that if nothing is going to happen to former President Trump for keeping them in a storage unit over here and the kitchen basement over here at Mar-a-Lago, then what's going to happen to Mark Meadows if it is shown that he destroyed the documents? I mean, clearly we don't really have a respect for these documents anymore, right?
Look, that's another question. And I would say that the other great vulnerability that Donald Trump has are the documents which he took from the White House. And again, you have to go back to Hutchinson's statement. She made a very interesting statement about the number of documents that were being moved. All of these things are on the table. They're not going away. And when you have an attorney general like Merrick Garland with such tremendous integrity, I think Donald Trump should be a very worried man. And I haven't even mentioned the problems he has with his own businesses and so forth in New York. That's a whole other thing.
And tax issues as well. John will be a regular here. He said he'd love to come by. He'd love to come by on a regular basis, and that's really, really cool. We're excited about that, John. I love your takes, and the audience loves seeing you too. People are asking, do you have a podcast of your own? I know you've talked about this, and when you do get it together, if you do get it together, you can announce it here, and everybody will subscribe. And
may I wish everybody a very happy, healthy new year. It's a particular pleasure to be able to participate in this podcast. I love seeing Kim McAllister, and if I may be so bold, Mark, I even love seeing you.
Aww,
John Rothmann, everybody. I love it. Thanks, John.
Happy New Year, my friend.
Do you feel it? It's the Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
How about it for Steve Moskowitz, everyone? Yeah. How about a good year, Steve? Wow.
I'm looking forward to a great year. How could we not? Look, we got you here broadcasting. We have Nikki. We have Chip. We're getting the old gang back together.
It is true.
And, you know, again, I've always said I've been a listener for all these years, too. I'm not just a sponsor. I've always enjoyed your shows, all of you.
Thank you so much. Well, we're growing. The audience is growing. It's really, we're going in the right direction in every way. So appreciate your continued support. Tell me about the new year from a tax standpoint. Give me some priorities. Every time I see a tax story, tax proposals in the new year, there are even some new laws. This is the kind of stuff that you follow, minute to minute. Tell me, give me a tax perspective on the coming year, please.
It's going to be very interesting. That's like your doctor says, your condition is very interesting. Well, wait a minute, doc. What we're doing is, it's always important to save taxes, but it's even more important now because so many people believe that the tax rates are going to shoot up. Look how the government's spending money. For example, on my beloved ERC program, the money is just flowing out of the treasury. Well, it's got to come from someplace, and China's cutting off our credit card. And what about all the other? We talk about ERC all the time, but there was PPP. That was a tremendous amount, and almost all the loans were forgiven. And then there was other programs we've never even talked about on your show. RRF, which was for restaurants and bars. There was a special program for the performing arts. Well, where's all this money coming from? That's the one. We're still signing on the credit card, and then there's the war in Ukraine. There's tremendous there. Not to mention all these spending programs. Not to mention on the newest spending program that everybody said, okay, I'll pass yours if you pass mine. So where's all this money coming from? Now, one place it's coming from is the 87,000 new IRS agents that they're hiring. They're going to be collecting taxes, enforcing things, but also there's going to be increases in tax rates. So back when Reagan was president, the top tax rate back then was 70%. He dropped it down to 28%. And what happens is with the tax rates, the tax planning, everything else, it's inversely related. The higher the tax rate, the more important all these things are. If the tax rate were 1%, tax benefits wouldn't be that big a deal, but it's not 1%. And these are all things, remember, the tax law is a system of incentives. And we combine all these things. When we talk to a business, we're talking about solutions for the whole business. I have, as you know, a certain size firm with a number of employees in it. So we offer all types of services like HR services and pension planning and estate planning, certainly income tax planning that I talk about all the time. And then with our accounting, when people think about accounting, they think, oh yeah, that's the pain I have to go through to file my tax return once a year. That's only a small part of it. We can show you how you can use your accounting to make more money. And businesses are just amazed when they say, oh my God, I've been in this business all these years and I didn't realize that. That's why you have us. So the bottom line is there's so much we can do for business. Fortune 500, look at the money they make and legally not pay taxes. Why? Because they have an army of people like me constantly do it. Look at Tim Cook, who says he spends a lot of time with Apple's tax lawyers so they don't pay the taxes. A small business doesn't need an army of people like me. They don't even need one person full-time. They need a bunch of people part-time. And that's what we provide them with our services.
I mean, it's terrific to hear of all of those services at Moskowitz. And I encourage everyone to, for not just purely tax planning reasons and not purely tax-related reasons, but when planning your future, when setting up pensions, whatever you might be doing, call Steve Moskowitz. I think the call to Steve Moskowitz in itself could just shed a lot of light on your financial life. So 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAXDEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. You also reach him online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Moskowitz is Moskowitz, LLP.com, MoskowitzLLP.com. By the way, inversely, which is a word that Steve used, is a ding word. So congratulations. Steve, love having you here. We'll talk next hour. Thanks, pal.
Look forward to it. Love being here. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
That is a Steve Moskowitz, everybody. That is cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've told you, it's never easy being in this business.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm looking around, Albert, to figure out what the hell's going on around here. And I'm looking
We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Well, we are going to do it live. We do it live every day from 10 to noon. Do smash the like button like a boss. If you're watching in replay, just smash the thumbs up. And that helps us in the YouTube algorithms. We're still working in YouTube. And I've just exchanged emails with them. That's the only way you can deal with them. You cannot ever deal with anyone at YouTube person to person on the phone. So everything is done. I've sent them screenshots of our situation. They keep saying, well, you have to close this one account before we can activate this other account. And so we try to close it and it won't let us close it. I go, we've tried to close it. It goes, well, and then you get cut and pasted all of these paragraphs from prior communications. I have tons of them. So that's all to give you some of the specifics of this mountain we're climbing to get this channel remonetized. It has nothing to do with anything that we've said or any content. It's all clerical, and it's just utterly frustrating. So the only way to support us, and we desperately need your support. I mean, we need to pay for all of the stuff that we do. And we're scraping along. And, I'm not taking any money right now because I'm just trying to keep the things, keep rowing the boat. But we need your support. And let me say this. You guys have been terrific. You've stepped up and given us support. And I'm so grateful. If I can just have a rare moment of sincerity, I'd like to tell you, this is where I'm so legitimately moved by the support. And I so appreciate it. So we're going to acknowledge you after Kim's news. We'll acknowledge you, some of you who've really stepped up with Patreon and PayPal, because since we're demonetized, all of you who are so great with the super stickers and super chats can't do them on this channel right now. So need to refer you to our PayPal and to our Patreon, and you find them at themarkthompsonshow.com. There it is. When you go to themarkthompsonshow.com, you'll see that page. The Mark Thompson Show. And those two tabs, you click on one of them for Patreon and one of them for PayPal. And you can choose either one. And that's the way you support us. So thank you very much for your support. It means so much to us. And for now, we will acknowledge you, not in the super sticker way that we used to do it, but we'll try to acknowledge some of those who have really stepped up with larger amounts. We'll do that after Kim's news. I'm taking questions. Any comments? Kim, you ready to go with some news?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, let's do it. When we come back, I also want to tell you, got a great law and disorder takes place in San Francisco. New maps came out about crime in the city. May surprise you. Also, a
maps for the Crime Cup, indeed.
Yes, that's right. We're working on a Crime Cup.
Yes.
This is San Francisco Cup. We thought, what would it be like to come out with a San Francisco Crime Cup? So it shows you different parts of the city and their crime statistics. It's something we just came up with last hour. We don't know. We're just taking meetings on it right now. We'll figure it out. And we will get you we'll get you recognition. This is true. Karen Q, was fun when we had the stickers and chats. But nothing in weeks in terms of recognitions. Yeah, I know. It's just been a really, really tough ride. Now, Tony has compiled them all. And it's not easy. Tony had to compile all the names and go through and get it all together.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, and you have them now. We'll do a little bit today. We'll do a little bit tomorrow. Is that the plan?
Yeah, and Friday.
And Friday, right. Okay, good.
I kind of broke it all up.
Tony, what angered you?
Yeah.
Just kind of broke it up nice and even, so it's nice.
All right, cool. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, that really is cool. So all of that's still to come. We also, next hour, I have a quiz for you. We'll all play. It's about states and the new year, and you will like it. Thanks for being here. Smash the like button. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Look at that. Time for news. It is the Mark Thompson Show. I am Kim McAllister. And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Oh, yeah. Southwest cancellations and delays continue to plague travelers on Southwest Airlines. According to FlightAware, the airline has canceled more than 2,500 flights today and delayed nearly 200. A total of about 1,900 flights have been delayed across the country and 2,800 canceled. Southwest at the heart of it all. New COVID restrictions for travelers headed from China may be coming. Considered by the United States anyway. NBC reporting 2 U.S. officials say there's concern that China isn't transparently reporting COVID data that's needed to assess the spread of the virus. The Biden administration is reportedly considering steps already being taken by Japan, which is testing all travelers from mainland China upon their arrival in this country. Not such good news for Pope Benedict XVI. He is said to be very sick. Pope Francis asking for prayers for his predecessor at the end of his general audience today. The 95-year-old Benedict resigned in 2013, becoming the first pope in about 600 years to step down. Speaking of stepping down, a lot of folks hope this guy will, but not yet. Congressman-elect George Santos continues to face backlash over lies he told about his resume. Two New York Republicans now, Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman and incoming Congressman Nick LaLota, told Newsday they'd like to see the House Ethics Committee investigate Santos after he lied about his educational and work background. Santos set to be sworn in January 3rd, and he says, once again, no, he will not resign. Oh, this is a fine-looking fellow. A man convicted of being a key in a plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is being sentenced to prison. Barry Croft Jr. sentenced to 19 and a half years in prison on Wednesday for plotting to kidnap the governor over her COVID restrictions. There you go, Barry Croft Jr. Enjoy your almost 20 years behind bars. U.S. District Judge Robert Junker said Croft was more culpable in the plot than co-defendant Adam Fox, who was sentenced to 16 years in prison yesterday.
Those are the guys with the governor's thing? Is that what you're saying? I'm so sorry.
Right.
I had to step up and say, okay, yeah.
Yeah. This guy, I'll have to go back to his picture.
No, I say he does not look like,
he's not your friend?
Well, he's just, that would be almost if we were casting a movie about this, we go, yeah, okay, that guy, he's in.
He's in. He's a star.
He's almost too on the nose, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So 19 and a half years for him.
Should have been more.
The judge said very culpable. I agree. And his the man who really set the whole thing up yesterday got 16 years behind bars.
They wanted to kidnap and kill her. Are you kidding? You only get 20 years for that?
In the most brutal of ways.
Yeah, I lock them up and throw away the key. This country is so soft on this crap. Yeah. I don't understand it. I mean, I know I'm a lib, and they, oh, Mark, you're a lib. I'm tough on law and order, man. That is, and I don't know if it's a lib conservative thing. I just think that it's way out of control that you would let that guy. I mean, I know 20 years seems like a long time, but it's not. It's not enough time.
No, and what could he possibly offer society when he gets out? Or now, even? I mean, no. Okay, so we'll move on to Walmart, asking a lawsuit filed against it over the mass shooting at a Virginia store to be tossed out. Employees at the Chesapeake Walmart are suing the company, arguing negligent hiring and retention, saying the company knew about the shooter's violent tendencies toward coworkers. Walmart says the employees should file workers' comp claims, saying that would be the exclusive remedy. Right, Walmart. Workers' comp is where it's at. Oh, David DePape, the man who is accused of attacking the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, is pleading not guilty again. David DePape facing numerous charges, including attempted murder, after he allegedly broke into the couple's San Francisco home in October, wanting to kidnap the speaker. Instead, police say he found 82-year-old Paul Pelosi, eventually striking him in the head with a hammer. In a hearing today, DePape waived his right for a speedy trial. And Tesla's days away from closing out its worst month, quarter, and year on record, including a 44% decline in stock price this month.
What?
Crypto exchange Kraken plans to stop operations in Japan next month. Officials with the San Francisco-based company blame a weak crypto market globally. Kraken has been in the cost-cutting mode lately, slashing 30% of its workforce in November. And it looks like the most popular shows on Netflix and movies for 2022 have been revealed. The action thriller The Gray Man, starring Ryan Gosling. I haven't seen that one. Have you seen it? It was the most watched English language movie, The Gray Man. I'll have to check it out. The most popular English language series was season 4 of Stranger Things. That's not a surprise. That was watched for nearly 1.9 billion hours between May and October. And you don't want to close your eyes. No, not at all. Ooh, look at that little asteroid. There's this new app that shows what would happen if an asteroid hits your hometown. Yeah. It's a new web app, Asteroid Launcher. It lets users see what would happen from a massive space rock striking anywhere on the planet. So you can pick the size of your asteroid, the composition, like what's it made of, and the place where it impacts to see just how much devastation would be wrought. If you're into it, it's Asteroid Launcher is the name of that app.
Wrought is a ding word.
Oh, I'll take that ding. And I will move on to say this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. You can see it at the bottom of the screen there, 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzLLP.com. We are proud to have him as the founding sponsor here on The Mark Thompson Show. I'm Kim McAllister on, The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens, and this is the greatest radio show in the history of the world. The Mark Thompson Show. It's in all the record books. Look it up.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Check it out. Yeah, that was cool. Funkify yourself, man. You gotta funkify. I love it. Yeah.
Tell your little friends, dreams do come true.
Dreams do come true. I love it. Well, I am looking forward to the next big asteroid strike. We came close, as you know, before the Christmas holiday, before the actual Christmas day. I want to say around the 22nd. We had a pretty close call with an asteroid. We reported that story here on the Mark Thompson Show. But aside from that, one of the amazing things about astronomy, and then I want to get to the acknowledgments, one of the amazing things is that it's math-based and does particularly well with moving objects. That is to say, as celestial objects move around the galaxy and around the solar system, the arithmetic is very exact, and you can be predictive in the arithmetic. That's really cool. So when it comes to asteroids, they do pretty well with measuring how long it'll take for an asteroid to get from point A to point B, and that's why the calculations are so terrific and so precise. When it comes to other questions about chemical reactions in the universe and the sort of questions that relate to the cosmos, that's when science can have more of a struggle. But when it comes to those things that Kim was talking about and that app is talking about, which is sort of an asteroid making contact with Earth, it does really well with that stuff. Science does. So they've been, they're 100% really on asteroid stuff. So Tony, how does this work? Do I you're gonna want to? Oh, there it is. Is it Jylene? Oh, I want to say a big shout out. 100. Now, where do these come from? Patreon or PayPal, Tony?
Both. I compiled it from both. So it's basically current Patreon and then going back to the about mid-December of PayPal stuff. So it's kind of like tried to just try to make stuff that we've been missing for a little bit and just trying to make good on everybody we've been kind of
that we hadn't had a chance to acknowledge. So all of you who have stepped up on Patreon and PayPal, because you can't leave us super stickers and super chats. Thank you, Jylene, or is it
Jylene?
Jylene, you think it would be? Yeah, it would be Jylene, probably.
Jylene.
Yeah, big shout out. Big shout out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I will say this, Jylene.
Thanks, Tony.
No, I would say that
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
These are numbers that do make me want to cry. William K. for $102.
I'm not gonna cry.
Thank you, William. Thank you for the PayPal and Patreon contribution at that level. That's what it takes. I mean, it really is extraordinary. Thank you. And
thank you so much.
Catherine C., I give you a thank you so much for $100. Thank you very much. That is so cool.
Thank you so much.
For finding the Patreon, for finding PayPal, for going through the extra clicks. I know it's a couple of extra clicks. Thank you, Catherine C. We love you and really do thank you. Lois K for $50. What up, Lois?
Thank you very much.
I give you a Will Smith. Thank you so much. And I'm going to give you a big Dan Ashley shout out.
Big shout out.
Yeah, that sure am. Thank you, Lois. Pamela K. I'm going to give you, Pamela K, for $50. And everybody who finds the Patreon and PayPal donation links. But you, Pamela K, leading the charge, I'm going to give you a thank you. That's right. 4 thank yous. Catherine F., I'm going to give you a thank you. At $50. That's pretty strong. Deidre L., for $50,
Thank you so much.
I'm going to give you a thank you. And I'm going to give you a big Dan Ashley shout out.
Big shout out.
Yeah. So nicely done. Thank you very, very much.
People are so kind.
Really, really cool. Those are just some of those who have stepped up through Patreon and PayPal to make donations to this channel as we are in a YouTube free fall. And because we're in a YouTube free fall, we need to ask you to step up through Patreon and PayPal. And it's an extra click. You have to go to themarkthompsonshow.com and then find the donation link. But those who have, that's a handful of them. Tony, thank you for putting them together. I know it wasn't easy.
Thanks, Tony.
You did it, and it's so important.
Yeah.
It's so
But
important,
I
man.
just cleaned everything up and got everything done. So yeah.
Well,
Thanks, Tony.
You're really great. And I still don't know what angered you.
Well, Tony, what angered you?
Yeah, I really but he's the best, Tony.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tony.
Yeah. So more tomorrow? Is that what we're going to do? Some more tomorrow, right?
Oh, we got more today to do still. Like,
Okay,
I'm going to break some at 11:30, and then we'll do some at 11:50 today, and then basically where we usually would do them after news is where I kind of broke them up for the next 3 days, so that we.
Oh, great. Okay, good. So there'll be way more to come, more after news, and we'll do them the next couple of days as well. That's really, really cool. Thank you, everyone. Smash the like button like a boss.
With your iron
All
rod.
of you who've contributed, we not only want to acknowledge you because you've stepped up in the ways that we've seen for, pretty hefty amounts. I want to acknowledge you on the air, and we also put your name on the screen at the end of the show, and this is something else. Tony said, Mark, this thing you want to do where when people contribute more money, you want their name bigger, it's a real pain in the ass.
I mean, it was a funny bit. Like, oh yeah, we'll make it. It takes up so much time because line spacing and stuff, and there's no automated way to do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just think that if people contribute more, their name should be bigger. Yeah, so when you watch the end,
fine with it.
When you watch the end of our show, you'll see all these names and everybody.
Misaligned things because I couldn't get it exactly pixel perfect. Okay,
but you'll see your name if you've given more money, a little bit more money. You'll see your name slightly bigger because I want you to know we're really grateful. I mean, it's just so. But for Tony, it has been a pain in the butt. So, all right, still to come. I've got what we're doing around the nation and as it relates to New Year, and I'll get into that and stand by for some law and disorder as well.
The Mark Thompson Show.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
There is a new map out that relates to the San Francisco city crime rate in 2022. And as you look back at the last year, let's face it, the city has this reputation for crime, and we've been making fun of it all morning with maybe we should do this crime cup that kind of features smash and grabs in one area based on stats. And that's actually, I think, a fun but sort of cool idea. The crime rate in the city of San Francisco remained below pre-pandemic levels. Of course, national media doesn't say that, but that's the case. So in San Francisco, I mean, you may not feel safer. You may not feel that the statistics are in your favor, but they are. I mean, it's not quite the hellscape that the national media makes it to be. So anyway, there's a breakdown from the San Francisco Police Department, and they go neighborhood to neighborhood and district by district served by the 10 police stations that affect the city. And The Southern District, from Mission Bay to the foot of Potrero Hill and all of Soma, that's usually one of the most violent areas. But 2022 was not violent in that area compared to other years.
Really?
Yeah. 3 homicides. That's a 40% decline from the year prior. I mean, look, we're going to talk about this stuff. You're going to go, well, any homicides are too many. I get it. But it's a big city and big city problems. But a 40% decline in homicides is big. The rate of other violent crimes rose, however, double digits. Assaults, robberies, they're up. And sexual assaults as well. That's all in the Southern District. So while homicides dropped, those other categories rose. The Tenderloin, save for a stretch just south of Market and east of Polk, the neighborhood and police districts share nearly the same boundaries, and the Tenderloin Station covers one of the smallest but most crime-ridden police jurisdictions in the city. They have open-air drug dealing, as you know. That's their reputation. 7 people were killed in the Tenderloin in 2022, and they have a homicide rate on par with some other districts, but it did surpass other parts of the city for other violent crimes. The Tenderloin continues to be a rough neighborhood. Yeah. More assaults in 2022 than anywhere else in the city, with 486 at year's end. A 13.6% increase. Yeah.
Because the mayor, London Breed, was really trying to clean up the Tenderloin.
That was her priority, she said, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't look like, that made much of a dent in the crime stats, I guess.
I mean, maybe that's a long-term plan.
I had a good time at the Black Cat.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to take more than a mayoral decree, and 1 year to clean up the Tenderloin, right? It's going to take more of the Big Apple, it's called by cops. That's Central Station. It covers the northeastern part of the city, and it deals with parades and shoplifters and murder and mayhem, they say here. The district spans Telegraph Hill, Chinatown, and North Beach. They saw 1 homicide this year and about 220 assaults, 328 robberies, 28 rapes. Yeah. God. I know, it's a tough thing to get your head around. But the Bayview District, that's the Dog Patch, Potrero Hill, Hunters Point,
that's
Portola.
Usually crime-ridden.
Exactly, right? Yeah. It goes all the way to the San Mateo County line. 16 homicides, 361 assaults, and 221 robberies, 24 rapes. Crazy. Yeah, it's... And finally, how about... and I'll post this if you're curious. I'll post it to my Twitter feed. By the way, did you tweet today, Albert? Did you finally tweet? Did we get the tweet out? No?
Yeah, I did.
Albert?
It's there.
You did? Okay. Because I want to get the I need to tweet.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah, okay, I'll get on it. Somebody retweet it. The Northern District is Pacific Heights. So these are the good neighborhoods. That's why I left it last. Pacific Heights to the Marina. I mean, good meaning higher priced homes. You get the idea. The Fillmore, Western Addition, Polk Gulch, Cow Hollow, the edge of the Presidio. Different neighborhoods make up that breadth of neighborhoods, as I just mentioned. A relatively high number of homicides this year in that area. 16% increase from 2021. Single-digit drops in assaults, though, and robberies. So I'll post this to my Twitter feed if anybody's curious. It's just interesting with a city that has the reputation for such bad stuff. There were categories in which San Francisco improved year to year. You mentioned this Michigan plot. It's it's unreal. This ringleader of the Michigan of the plot to kidnap and kill Governor Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan. The guy who played the key role in the plot, as you heard in Kim's News, got 19 and a half years in prison. There was a co-defendant, you covered that too, that didn't get as much, right?
No, 16 he got.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that is thought to be the organizer of all this, kind of the ringleader. But they found that the guy today, the lovely good man, they thought that he was more culpable in this whole situation. His name is Barry Croft.
Yeah, culpable is a dang word, by the way.
Yeah, Barry. They
thought
Barry was more of a bad guy, so he got 19 and a half years. his co-conspirator, the man from yesterday, I think his last name is Fox, he got 16 years. So, I mean, you would think you would, if you were the ringleader, the organizer, the one behind it all, that you get more, but no.
Well, the judge called Croft the idea guy who egged on co-conspirators with twisted ideology. And so even in the judge's decision, the judge did agree with prosecutors that he was the more culpable and still didn't mete out the life sentence. That's what the state wanted, is a life sentence. They didn't get it. No. I would have liked to have seen it. I think this is, serial. These guys are trouble. The serial killer suspected of so many killings around the Stockton area. Now they say there are 2 more that include. Is that him? Oh, did you have this in your newscast too? Sorry.
No, that's the guy that got 16 years from yesterday.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Does he look like a nice guy? Look at him.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go. He's not on his way to a job interview. You can tell. But,
so Stockton, yeah.
The Stockton serial killer suspected of, as I say, already murders that he's going to be on trial for, now suspected of 2 additional murders in Alameda County. 4 additional murder charges, including 2 in Alameda County, against the man suspected of being the Stockton serial killer. Wesley Brownlee's 43 years old, been charged with the murders of Juan Alexander and others. He was arrested by Stockton police on October 15th after authorities said officers intercepted him as he was hunting, they say, for yet another victim in the early morning hours. Yeah, brutal.
I have a picture too. Here he is.
Yeah.
Mr. Wesley Brownlee.
Yeah, wearing the home red.
Yeah.
Yeah, the home team colors. Anyway, he was under arrest by Stockton cops in October, and he will now stand trial for all of those murders. Yeah. That, my friends, is kind of a down, dark end, but yet I have to say that I'm glad these guys were brought to justice, So on that level, I think it's encouraging, That's Law and Disorder for today. Do I have the open? No. The close? Do I have either? I would take the close at this point. I'd take the open at this point. Okay.
Tune in again next time for more
That's
Law and Disorder.
I would have taken any
Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful.
Look, we can do it live.
We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay, we'll just do it live, and stuff happens when you do it live. Anything happening in the chat that I need to know about, Albert, Tony? No. Do I want to mention the merch, which is exploding in popularity? You notice I'm wearing the hat, the Mark Thompson Show hat, which you can get right here on the site, getmarkmerch.com. Oh, yes. You can wear a hat just like Mark Thompson wears. Or you can get the beanies, wear them like my folks do. How about it? There's Dad with the pom-pom beanie. Mom, wait a minute. I love that Mom with the pom-pom less, but go ahead. Anyway, thank you, Mom and Dad. Look who's got a pom-pom beanie going. Come on.
So cute.
Now, what is the story on this, Tony or Albert? What is the information we have on this guy?
I'll have to find it. You sent me it.
My God! Oh my!
It's a cute kid with the Mark Thompson Show hat.
No, but he said they had a cute note with it.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
I just can't. I mean,
I might have deleted that email. Let me.
Oh my God! I just don't.
Is Don on the phone?
Is Don on the phone? Oh.
And I also want to know what happened to the pictures I was supposed to see this week.
And this is the coolest KJO in Exile, rocking the KJO in Exile T-shirt at holidays. Guitarist in the background.
Scoop on the kid. It is a listener in training sent by Allison.
Allison, thank you, Allison. I love it.
There's never been anything like this.
There really hasn't. It's really special. A listener in training. I love it. I love that hat. Don't you love the beanie with the pom-pom?
It's a nice, thick, good quality looking hat.
It is. Yeah. All the merch is of the highest quality that we could and there is there is the kitty cat with the hat. Yeah.
You can use it as a cat bed.
Yeah. The cats like the soft quality of the hat, so it does tend to. Now we love cats, and now the one thing I do need to double back and ask you for though is the backstory on the guy with the KJO in Exile T-shirt. I did send that along too. Do we have that information? Let me guess.
Not
no.
at the moment.
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
So, just as a general principle, if we could, when we have the picture, let's have the
My
information.
fault. I showed the picture,
Done.
not knowing if I didn't have it.
Tony took the bullet for you. Wow.
He did? Oh, Tony.
Oh, Tony took the bullet, but it was really Kim's fault.
Kim, how are you?
It was my fault. I did it. I wanted to show the pictures. Like,
yeah, but here's the new house rule. It's really not a new house rule, but let's just mention it again. All right.
I also want
to know what happened to the pictures I was supposed to see this week. So when we show a picture on this show, we have to have the information, the supplemental information. And I'll put it another way. If you don't have the supplemental information that goes with the picture, don't show the picture. There you go. Okay.
Which rule is that? Number 3?
Good day, sir.
Are we still compiling our rules here?
No.
That
I don't know what number it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's okay. No big.
Seriously, what the?
No big deal.
But we will double back
Found
and
it.
get because I love you did okay. What is the information on that picture?
Says,
Now
"Hi,
can you
Mark,
put the
happy
picture?
birthday,
Hang on a second. Hold on a second.
All right.
Why are you yelling?
Kim, can you put the picture back now? Now, Tony, go ahead. Okay, thank you.
It says Jim Morgan Hill here. Hi, my mom got me the KJO in Exile T-shirt for Christmas, and I couldn't love it more. Posing in front of my grandparents' Christmas tree here. Happy New Year, everyone. There.
Thanks, Tony.
That is really nice, and that is really awesome. And thank
it's
you.
from Jim Ross. It says.
Yeah.
Jim Ross.
Thank you,
That's
Jim,
nice.
and
It is
thank you,
better.
Jim Ross family.
It's better with the information. I won't. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we did the information. You got to have the information. So, very strong. We'll take a quick break for Kim's news, and when we come back, we have more acknowledgments. Many of you who have stepped up and really helped us out with PayPal and Patreon. We want to give you the acknowledgments you deserve, and then I have the quiz related to New Year's Eve, and you can all play along. It'll be the 50 states. We'll grab a handful of them, and we'll do that next. Smash the like button if you haven't yet. Mark Thompson Show.
Do you feel it? It's the Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's get right to it. Good old Southwest Airlines. Oh, look at that. They actually got one in the sky. Isn't that nice? Hey! Woo! The union representing Southwest Airlines pilots says this week's mass cancellation of flights was absolutely preventable. The Southwest Airlines Pilots Association says there was a systematic failure to modernize the computer software that controls work schedules and routes planes. The airline has canceled more than 2,500 flights and delayed nearly 200 so far. That's just today, according to FlightAware. Speaking of Southwest, a flight to Oakland from Honolulu had to be diverted, not because of company errors this time, but because of a fight. According to officials, the plane turned around mid-flight yesterday because of a disturbance inside the passenger cabin. A fight between two passengers broke out, and the plane turned around and returned to the Daniel Inouye International Airport in Honolulu last night. The flight was rescheduled for today. Again, this comes on top of mass flight delays and cancellations. I'm sure everybody aboard that plane when the flight broke out was like, really, you guys, we're finally in the air, and this is what has to happen. Yeah. Okay. Ghost guns. We're on to this. This is a loophole being closed by the Biden administration. The ATF yesterday releasing guidance requiring partially completed pistol frames and part kits to be subject to the same regulations as fully assembled guns. The move requires federally licensed gun dealers to mark parts with serial numbers and for buyers to undergo criminal background checks as well. Thought I had the picture of Korean labor, but apparently I do not have the photo. But I will tell you that companies accused of using North Korean labor are now being banned from the importing goods to the United States. U.S. Customs and Border Protection this week announcing that it has banned imports from 3 Chinese companies under the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. The law prohibits the entry of any goods that were produced by North Korean nationals unless there's evidence showing the materials were not made with forced labor. You know who this guy is. Former President Trump's tax returns finally being released. The reports say the House Ways and Means Committee will share a redacted version of Trump's tax returns on Friday morning. The panel recently voted to release 6 years of Trump's tax documents following an investigation into whether an IRS audit was conducted properly or not. The U.S. Virgin Islands, such a nice place to vacation, and President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are spending New Year's in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The Bidens landed in St. Croix this morning. The visit makes Biden the first sitting president to visit the Virgin Islands since Harry Truman in 1948. And this is an unfortunate story. Bob Marley's grandson has died at the age of 31. His name is Joe Mersa Marley. He was reportedly found unresponsive in a vehicle today. A representative for the Jamaican American reggae artist confirming his death to Rolling Stone. So far, they haven't given a cause of death. That's Joe Mersa Marley, who has died at the age of 31 years old.
Jeez.
And I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Mark Thompson Show, the news sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, it's the time to get a hold of Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can find him online. It's moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Mark Thompson Show.
Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Thompson, party of 4.
What up, everybody? It is our big Wednesday show, the 28th of December. Thank you for being here. Very cool. Before the acknowledgments, Tony, can I bring on Steve? He is he's our dude. You know, he sponsors the show, and his work is so important and can be so much a part of your life in so many positive ways. I'm talking about money. Yeah. And Steve Moskowitz, everybody. Yeah. Go ahead, Steve, please.
Yes, hi, Tim. Hi, Mark. And, you know,
Hi.
People talk about money, but it affects your life, your family's life, literally the food you eat, the place you live, the clothes you wear, how you educate your kids. And I hate to say it, but most of the way how people treat you. And
no, it's true.
Big part of that, if you're in business, is how much do you have to give away to the IRS and the state. So what we do for small businesses is what the Fortune 500 has an army of guys like me. Look at the Fortune 500. Look at the billions they make in taxes. Excuse me, in revenue, but they don't pay taxes. How can that be? Because the tax law has 2 components. Everybody knows about the first component, getting money out of us. But there's also a system of incentives in there, because in a democracy, which we still are, the government can't order you to do things, even if it's good for the economy. So how do they get you to do what they want when they don't have the power to order you? They pay us, and they pay us through tax reductions. And that's a question I always ask new clients. You think you make more or less than Apple Computer? Aha, we all laugh and then say, well, Apple Computer makes more. But I say, guess what? You pay more in taxes than they do. And there's so much to that. And if you're in business, we offer a full range of services, not just legal services, HR services, accounting services, tax planning, success, optimizing your profit, and so much more. We're here for you. And basically what happens is Fortune 500 companies have whole staffs of people doing this. But a small business can't afford a staff of people to do this. A small business can't even afford one person to do one function. So what we do is basically we give you that part-time controller, that part-time HR person, the part-time, and that's all you need to get the results without paying a fortune for it. That's part of what we're all about.
It's, I love the list of things because you're right. It's so much more than just the tax form. You have to do a little heavy lifting. And rather than you doing it, have someone who really knows where to lift, do it for you. That person is Steve Moskowitz. 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAXDEAL. And you see all the ways he can help you as a small business person, perhaps. Perhaps you're a sole proprietor. I mean, what I've learned in conversations with Steve is there are any number of ways to be helped, even if you think you are doing everything you can. There are ways and benefits that accrue to you that I think only Steve likely can tell you. You're not going to find it on the internet. 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAXDEAL. You can also find him online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Steve, grateful for you. Happy New Year. We'll talk tomorrow. Thank you, man.
Thanks, guys. Kim, Mark, thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Steve Moskowitz, everyone. Yeah.
I feel like
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yes, Kim. Yes.
with him on your side, with Steve Moskowitz on your side, like, I just feel better about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, he's the real thing. You know, he's the real thing. He's not some guy we have on here who's like a fly-by-nighter.
Right.
I wanted to see if there's anything in the chat I need to pay attention to before we do our acknowledgments and shout-outs. Tony has worked hard to, because we're, when you do, you've worked hard, pal.
Thanks, Tony.
You have worked many hours on this because when you're in YouTube and you leave a super chat or super sticker, it just shows up there and it's easier for us to identify and then immediately thank you. When you go to Patreon and when you go to PayPal through the MarkThompsonShow.com, that's the way you support the show now, not through YouTube. YouTube's demonetized us. We're in a YouTube free fall. So all the monetization that was coming to this channel, we don't get it anymore. So we're really a bit desperate, if I can be perfectly honest about it. And that's not fake. That's real.
That's not fake. That's real.
So the deal is that after you've gone to that trouble, Tony will then compile the names of those who've stepped up for us in Patreon and PayPal. He'll put them on at the end of the show. Everybody who's contributed anything goes on at the end of the show. But those who've contributed bigger amounts, wow, we want to give you shout outs and acknowledgments, and that's what we're doing at this point. We will get super stickers back. We will get super chat back. But right now, we're doing it this way. I would respectfully ask the Patreon list be checked to ensure it is current. At least one name is missing. Oh, is that right, Nick? Oh, my God.
Fixed. Get on the stick.
It's been fixed, Nick. Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. So it's cool. We are dancing as fast as we can. And there is, is it Joan H? Wow. Are you kidding me?
That's lovely.
Are you kidding? $250?
Why are you yelling?
Because that's extraordinary.
I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not going to cry.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
But it's just because I know it wouldn't be cool to cry that I'm not crying.
That's not a bigger name. That's like a name with a little, emoji by it or sparkles or something, right?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, if you're talking about making some names bigger, I'm just saying. Like,
in that context, yeah. I mean, that is a terrific donation. Thank you, Joe.
Big shout out.
I give you a big shout out. I'm going to give you a thank you. Which
thank you.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you a Will Smith.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
Thank you so much.
a British thank you so much, which does from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you, Joan H. That's really, really cool. Wow, $250. $100 to Russ. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. Russ, that is super cool, man. Thank you. Big shout out. Yeah. And
thank you very much.
Will Smith, thank you so much. I'm going to give you a thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Karen AQ. $50. I'm going to give you a thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to give you
Thank you so much.
a British thank you so much. There's a certain refinement I feel to your donation. Thank you. Karen, thank you, Karen AQ for 50. Gail G for 50. Come on, Gail.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so
nice.
much, Gail. That is so cool. You are rocking. Appreciate it, all of you. Robert H, $50. What up, Robert? Big shout out from Dan Ashley.
Big shout out.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you a thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to give Dale M the thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dale. That's really cool, dude. $50. Dale, Dayle is probably a woman, is what I'm guessing. Am I right? Kim? No?
I would say man, but I guess it's 50-50.
Dale, can you get back to us in the chat and let us know? Anyway, if you're a woman, I want to thank you. And if you're a man, I want to thank you, Dale. Dayle. It's a very cool spelling of Dale. Usually Dale is spelled how? D-A-L-E. Right.
Yeah.
You throw in the Y, and now we're all wondering, where do we go on this? Very, very cool. Tony, I want to thank you again for putting that together.
Thanks, Tony.
And I want to thank everybody again for having to go the extra. You know, in donations, I gave $10. Can I have one tier? Peace. You're a regular viewer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Beth, for your 20 as well. I know a lot of you have donated 10 and 20, but we're trying to get through these. And thank you, Beth Farmer. Very, very cool. All of you who've contributed, even $5, $10. All these contributions matter. I hate having to hustle for money. Just hate it. Yeah. But I really appreciate that so many of you have stepped up in the ways you can. We just wanted to acknowledge as much as we could. We could do the whole show acknowledging. And so that's why we post at the end of the show everybody's name.
The video, we try to get everyone in there and stuff.
Exactly. So that's the deal. Now, I want to play a little bit of a game. And yeah, I think it'll be cool. So we'll try to...
Trivia? What do we have here?
Well, I'll tell you here.
The Mark Thompson Show.
These are states and New Year's resolutions. I don't know if everybody's into the resolution thing quite yet.
Wait, the state itself made a resolution? Okay, I'll wait.
Really?
I'll hold. Okay.
Really? Is that? Do you want to take that question back?
I do. I'll take it back. Come on.
They polled people in the state, Kim, okay? And these were the resolutions most common in those various states.
Oh, God.
The states didn't pass resolutions about a resolution, all right?
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
All right, let's play the game. I think it's going to be fun.
Is someone serving cocktails?
In the state of Alaska, what was the most common resolution? Was it to save money? Was it to weight train? Or was it to sleep more, get better sleep? I'm taking guesses in the chat. And then I'm taking guesses with our crew. Albert, we'll start with you. What do you think?
Albert, thank you.
I'm leaning towards the sleep because I do know about the sunlight and stuff like that up there up north.
Yeah, they are sunlight deprived, aren't they? That's a good point. What do you think, Kim?
I'm going with weight training.
How about you, Tony?
I have to say sleep as well. That sounds like what would be right.
Two
sleeps.
The government's
already giving them some money for
oh, wait.
So
yeah, they get money.
They need to sleep.
A lot of sleep in the chat. Better sleep considering their sunlight patterns. Sleep more, says Mike. Sleep, says Leak. Better sleep, says Colors of the Wind. Wow, sleep was the, I think, the overwhelming guess. Sleep more. The answer in Alaska, they say they are looking for in the new year the resolution for better sleep. Yeah, that was it. Very well done. Wow. You guys got it. Weight training was, no. You think we're all...
Google it.
Yeah, we're all cheating is exactly right. This is sick. I knew I couldn't trust any of you people. I knew it. I just knew it. Let's take California. Let's get right to our state. Should we, or should we have one more before our state?
Let's get in there.
All right, let's get into California.
I'm excited for Florida. Florida's our favorite.
Yeah, I know. We will get to Florida, I promise. All right. In California, the New Year's resolution shared by the most people was to A, read more, B, therapy, C, weight loss, or D, dating. Yeah.
I think there are two favorite answers there.
Oh.
I think there are two.
What do you think?
I'll lean towards the weight loss because it seems like the most generic,
common,
and basic answer. So I think that's where I'm going to place my bets here.
All right. Kim, what do you think?
I'm going also with weight loss.
Yeah, weight loss. What do you think, Tony?
I went to both the beach and Disneyland during the summer and weight loss. I saw no people that...
Everybody's going weight loss. Lee Cobb goes therapy.
I thought the
Roberto,
dating was
weight loss.
interesting because dating, I'm a millennial. Everything that we do is way later than we're supposed to. So I feel like the clock is going. So
that may be true as well. Ashton says needs to be therapy. I like that. Weight loss is an obsession in the U.S., says Karen Cooper. All right. Well, the actual answer in California, we by overwhelming numbers say our resolution is about dating. Yeah.
Oh.
How about that? That's pretty wild, isn't it?
People want to get a date in California.
I guess that's the thing. Yeah.
Lose some weight.
Here's one for you. Let's go to the state of Arkansas. In Arkansas, the most popular resolution in Arkansas, is it therapy? Is it dating? Is it read more? Or is it weight loss? Is it therapy, dating, read more, or weight loss? I ask you, Albert.
I'd go with read more because I think it would be really funny for me to win this with that option.
In Arkansas, you think read more? Okay. Yeah.
No.
What do you think, Kim?
It's going to be weight loss.
What do you think, Tony? Weight loss, read more, therapy, or dating?
Dating,
okay.
sure.
Dating? Okay. This is a tougher
I have
one.
a couple people who agree with me here. Eric, Jess, Colleen, all read more. So there's a few people here with me.
The actual answer is indeed read more. Wow. You really are amazing. In Arkansas, they want to read more. Man. All right. You asked for it. Well, let me do one more before I get to Florida. Let's go to Massachusetts, everybody. Massachusetts, one of the original states. In Massachusetts, what was the most common resolution as stated? Was it save money, weight training, vacation, or therapy? We will start with you, Kim, this time. What do you think, Kim?
I'm going to say it's very cold there this time of year. I'm going for vacation. They want a vacation.
All right.
Kim, how are you?
All right. They want a vacation. What do you think, Tony?
I was thinking vacation, too. That sounds like a good guess.
No, vacation.
Thanks, Tony.
What do you say, Albert?
I think the money is where is what they need to save.
It's about the money.
Albert, thank you.
All right. The money. What are they saying?
That being wasted on the Patriots and Boston has been going through. They haven't won a championship in a while, so in a while it's just a few years. So I think, save.
All right. Flo says save money. Nick says save money. Flo says therapy. Marge says vacation. Save money says Gail. Massachusetts. What was the most common New Year's resolution for 2023? Therapy, lifting, saving money, or vacation? The answer, indeed, is vacation. Wow. Very well done. Kim broke it down very beautifully with the weather tie-in and all the rest.
It's chilly there.
Yeah.
If I lived there, I'd want a vacation. I live in California and I want a vacation, so I hear that.
All right. I am looking.
What do people in Hawaii want? What is that?
Oh, all right. Let's do that. The people in Hawaii, what do they want? Is it weight training, weight loss, dating, or saving money in Hawaii? Weight training, weight loss, dating, or saving money? I will ask you first, Albert.
There's a lot of arguments to be made for all these answers. You need the beach body.
Oh, yeah.
Expensive to live there.
It is Hawaii. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that would be saving money, right?
Yeah, but I think I'll go with weight loss. I think
weight loss, he says, in Hawaii.
Beach in all seasons there.
Okay. So it's weight training, dating, weight loss, or saving money. What do you think, Kim, in Hawaii?
Weight is different in their culture. I'm going to go with saving money.
No.
After COVID and after all the tourism interruption.
Oh, yeah.
Kim, how are you?
Probably money.
All right.
Kim, how are you?
Very good. I think that was, again, very well broken down anyway, logically. What do you think, Tony?
I'm with Kim again here. Money.
Yeah?
Thanks, Tony.
All right. Saving money. What were you, and you were, again, Albert, you were what?
The beach body answer.
The beach body, yeah, okay.
Yeah, beach body.
I want to quickly look to see what saving money says. Lulu. This is the... Anybody else? Kim is right about weight in Hawaii. Dating someone in Arkansas. Oh, you are dating someone in Arkansas? Oh, in Arkansas that way. I don't know what that refers to. The actual resolution that is most popular in the state of Hawaii for 2023 is dating.
Oh, wow. Okay.
People want to hook up.
Everybody
people want to hook
love.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done California. We just haven't done Florida. Isn't that right?
Oh, we can't.
Yeah,
We'd be remiss.
This is our big finish. Let's do Florida. In the state of Florida, what is the most popular New Year's Eve resolution for 2023? Is it to read more? Is it to get into therapy? Is it weight loss? Or is it dating? Is it to read more? Is it to get into therapy? Is it weight loss? Or is it dating? I ask you, Tony.
Dating.
Dating, he says.
Thanks, Tony.
What do you think, Kim?
Therapy.
Therapy?
Kim, how are you?
They need some help there.
What do you think, Albert?
I want to agree with Kim, but I don't think they need therapy. I think the real resolution is to stay off the news. But I'll go weight loss here. Weight loss.
All right.
Albert, thank you.
And in the chat, I saw get off meth. Is what
that's
Huge
not
in
an
Japan
option.
said. Gail says dating. This is for the state of Florida. The most popular New Year's Eve resolution for the next year, 2023. Is it read more, therapy, weight loss, or dating? We had in this group, therapy for sure, says Neiman. In our crew, a lot of you went for, what did you go for again? I felt like
Therapy.
Therapy was Kim. And didn't you go? I thought somebody went dating. Wasn't that you, Albert?
I went dating just to be different.
Oh, you went dating. Yeah. Oh, just to be different. Okay.
I don't know what.
The answer in Florida, the most popular New Year's Eve resolution for the next year is Kim's the winner. It's therapy.
Yeah.
How do
That's
you know
nice.
this, Kim? You're really good at this game.
No, most of mine have failed, but therapy just makes sense, right? I mean, look at the crazies there. They all need therapy. Sorry, not that if you have therapy,
but let me
crazy,
just say,
but in this particular instance,
It requires a self-awareness, though. And you have to be crazy enough that you maybe need therapy, let's say. It's crazy. I mean, therapy is good for anybody, probably. But you also need to be self-aware enough to know that that's what you need, you know. So it's not. It's sort of
how many
tricky.
times can you be arrested before you realize therapy is in order?
When you put it that way. All right. All right, we've got some acknowledgments to do here in a second.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, we're finishing up, but this is our few days here at the end of the year that we want to recognize those who have taken the extra step and gone to PayPal and Patreon since our YouTube channel is demonetized. So we have no choice but to ask you to go to PayPal and Patreon through themarkthompsonshow.com. You just go to the website and you click through, but it's an extra couple of clicks. In the world of donation, they call that friction. In the world of technology, actually. So if it's the things that are app-based or that you can just punch on YouTube and make a donation, those are easier. They're almost frictionless, right? But when I ask you to go to themarkthompsonshow.com, you have to put that in, themarkthompsonshow.com, then you have to click on it, then there is another click to go to Patreon or PayPal, then you have to enter your information. You can see they call that friction. And so as a result, you get less in the way of donations. It's much easier to do the super stickers and super chats. So they're really screwing us by demonetizing that way. For now, we will get the monetization back. But I just want to give you all the more credit for going through those steps and then contributing some really serious amounts of money that help us stay on the air. So thank you very much in advance, all of you. Now, Tony, Lori F. for $100 with a big Dan Ashley shout out.
Big shout out. Lori.
That is really cool, Lori. Wow, wow, wow.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not going to cry, but I want to say these are cry numbers. Yeah. Morgan G.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
Morgan G. What up, Morgan G?
Thank you so
much, Morgan G. I give you that.
Thank you very much.
And a Will Smith, thank you for Morgan and for David K. And David, thank you for the 100. And I'm going to give you a thank you. Wow. Joe F., thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joe, for $50. 50 from Karen M. Wow. Thank you. So Big Dan Ashley shout out.
Big shout out.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
That really cool. Jane M., $50. Yeah.
Big shout out.
Mm-hmm. That is just so cool. Thank you all very much. I'm going to give all of you a thank you. And I want to say, I'm not gonna, but I'm close.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I'm close. I really am. I am very moved by the support that you guys have provided us. And I know there are many of you who have stepped up, you know, not for 50, not for 100, but for other amounts, 20, 10, 5 even, in Patreon and in PayPal. And I'm grateful, super grateful on behalf of all of us for keeping it going. So thank you. As the man says, thank you. Do I have any unfinished business, Albert, before I wrap things up? I ask you, Albert. You are the master of this program. Do we need to do anything else?
It was a really good show. Make sure to watch the replay. We had a great first hour if you missed it. So make sure you tune into that.
Yeah, I would encourage you to check out Spencer Christian. We had a good little chat with him.
Fun.
John Rothmann. We had a good chat with him, too. So, it's true. Kim had some good newscasts. We blew out a newscast, but then she made her next newscast supersized. There's a lot good in this show, if I can say that. I think we've learned a lot about each other, that we can count on our audience to keep us going till our YouTube channel is monetized. Thank you.
Albert, thank you.
Thank you. And Kim, thank you. And Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
And Nikki's show is next. I watched the whole show yesterday, Nikki's show. And I encourage you to do similarly. Resolution talk, whether kids should make resolutions. I think it's a good idea to get kids started, maybe, on them. Kim's going over there, too, so it's... Oh, wait.
For the Mark Thompson
The golden
Show.
tone of Shadow.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Maybe we'll get Shadow in tomorrow.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Kim. We'll watch you on Nikki's show until tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.